Hari Om. In the operating system course, we are currently discussing module 1. We had already discussed what operating systems do, system organization, the architecture, then the operating system structure, also the operations of an operating system. All these topics we discussed already. And we are currently talking about the operating system functions, in which in the previous session we discussed the process management as well as the memory management. Now in this video we are going to talk about the third important function of an operating system, which is nothing but the storage management. Now, we know that the operating system provides a very uniform and logical view of information storage, right? So you don't feel like something is stored in your hard disk and you don't need to require about what is the design of your hard disk and how the hard disk data is being read or written into the hard disk. So this information is completely hidden, and the operating system provides or let me say abstracts, right? So because it hides everything from the user, right? How internally the devices, storage devices are functioning. So we can say operating system abstracts the physical properties of the storage devices. How it is abstracting? It is abstracting to logical storage unit called the file. So when you need to access the hard disk, you don't directly go and specify like in which particular cylinder or in which particular sector or in which particular track the data is available. That is not at all required. You use the concept of a file. You just give the file name and you just specify in which particular directory the file is available. The data will be retrieved by the operating system. So that is why we say operating system abstracts the physical properties of any kind of storage device, and it is abstracted to the logical storage unit called the file. And the operating system always maps the files into physical media and accesses these files using the storage device. So you need a storage device for storing all these files and then retrieving them. And the important point to be noted here is operating system hides how exactly the data is being stored in a secondary storage device and how it is being retrieved. So in general, I can say the storage management of an operating system deals with these four concepts: file system management, mass storage management, caching, and input output subsystem. So these are the four major concepts that are dealt by the storage management of an operating system. Now let us talk about the file system management. File system management can be said as the most visible component of the operating system, right? So you don't know how the processor management is working and you don't know how the memory management is working. You are not seeing the processor or you are not seeing the primary memory, right? Rather the file system, right? So you can view the file system, you can view how the, when I say viewing, the logical view of the file system can be given to the user, right? So you can, if you open your Linux operating system, you know how the files are organized, how it is being stored in a directory, and what is the name of the directory, what is the name of the file, what is the size of the file. So this kind of information is seen and viewed by the user. That is why we say the file system is the only visible component of the operating system. And each storage medium, right? So you store your files in one or more than one storage medium, and you know that all these storage medium are controlled by some kind of device. Say for example, disk drive. Hard disk drive is one of the device which is used for controlling the hard disk. You have hard disk drive which is used for controlling your secondary storage device. So you may be having one hard disk or two hard disk in your computer system. So that will be controlled by the disk drive. And all these storage medium are varying in their properties, like the access speed of the storage medium will be different for each device, right? So CD will be having a different speed, the hard disk itself, right? So different kinds of hard disks are there, and each hard disk will be varying in their speed, data transfer speed, in the access speed, right? Then in the capacity, right? So you have hard disk which is of 500 GB, which is of 1 terabyte, which is used in your normal desktop machines, which is used in the servers. So based on that, the capacity will be varying, and the access speed, when I say access speed, locating the data in a hard disk, because you have double-sided disk, single-sided disk. So depending upon the characteristics of the hard disk, the access speed will be varying, and data transfer rate, obviously it will also be varying. So some will be transferring the data with 2 MB per second, and some may be transferring the data as 128 bytes per second. It depends, right? And the access method is also different. Sometimes the devices will be sequential, sometimes the storage devices will be random. So all these things you might have discussed already in your informatics paper. And we know that all these files are organized into directories in any of the operating system, for that matter, whether it is Windows operating system, Linux operating system, Mac operating system. All the files will be organized into directories. And not only that, all these files also have some access control, right? So some files are having only read permission, some files will have write permission, some files will have execute permission. And not only that, who can access that particular data and how it can be accessed. So those kind of access control will also be available for all these files. So these access control will be managed by the file system management. And if you take the operating system is responsible for the following activities in connection with the file management. So in the file system management, the operating system should be able to create a file, delete a file, create a directory, delete a directory, and all the primitives to manipulate the files and directories, like renaming the file, then compressing the file. So those kind of the primitives to manipulate the files, right? Copying the file or moving from one directory to another directory. All these things are called as primitives to manipulate the files and directories. Then you have mapping files onto secondary storage device. Like, how do you map it? Suppose if you have stored a file in the first cylinder of the hard disk, in the first sector, in the first track, like that, each file will be mapped to the secondary storage device. How it will be mapped? It will be mapped by specifying the track number, sector number, etc. Okay. Then the backup of these files onto stable media is also managed by the file system management. So you may want to back up your hard disk, you may want to copy from the hard disk to any other removable device like CD or your pen drive or maybe a magnetic tape. So that facility should also be provided by the operating system. Right. So these are some of the activities in connection with the file system management for which the operating system is responsible. And the second important storage management concept is the mass storage management. We know that the main memory is very small to accommodate all the data and programs, right? So that is why the virtual memory concept was introduced. But even then, the main memory is very small to accommodate all the data and programs. And not only that, when you switch off the power, obviously the data will be lost. So the computer system must provide secondary storage to back up the main memory. So whatever you have done in the data or programs while executing the program, so this data has to be again stored into the permanent storage, right? So for which the computer system provides secondary storage device as a backup for the main memory. So if this is the case, the secondary storage device must be very properly managed, because main memory is already managed by the memory management module. So since the main memory content are stored in the secondary storage device, so whatever you have done when you open your machine, so before you switch off, right, so before you shut down your machine, you need to save all the data, all the manipulated data. So you create a document, imagine. So when you create a document, you need to store this, or you need to save the document in a secondary storage device. Only then it becomes permanent. Otherwise, when you switch off your machine, the data that you typed and stored in the main memory will be lost. Okay, so you need a very proper management of the storage device, and this becomes one of the very important activities of the mass storage management. And the speed of the computer, right, the speed of the computer operation depends on disk subsystem and its algorithms, because the secondary storage device is used frequently. It must be used efficiently, because see, imagine you, when you are opening your computer system, when you switch on your computer system, imagine how many times you store the data into your secondary storage device, and how many times you retrieve the data from the secondary storage device, right? So whenever you click an icon, whenever you move your mouse over the files, obviously you are doing something on the secondary storage device. So only if the secondary storage device is properly managed or efficiently used, the speed of the computer system will be efficiently achieved. Okay, so it completely depends on what kind of algorithm you are using for retrieving the data from the secondary storage device, and how the disk subsystem is arranged, like the directories and files. So if you have not properly organized the files of your secondary storage device, you will not be able to retrieve the data. But say for example, if you don't have a searching technique in your secondary storage device, right, നിങ്ങൾ എല്ലാവരും file browser open ചെയ്തിട്ട് you will type the file name, right? Suppose if you have forgotten in which particular directory you have stored the file, what we do generally, we open the file browser and we search for that particular file. Yes or no, right? So that is what you call as primitives to manipulate files and directories. So if you are searching it, obviously it goes into the secondary storage device and it has to search for that particular file, right? So and after searching it, it has to retrieve that particular file and it has to be stored into the primary memory. So this is completely depending on what kind of algorithm you are using on the secondary storage device, how efficiently you are using the secondary storage device. So if the secondary storage device is efficiently used, then obviously the computer system speed can be improved. Not the processing speed, the data retrieval speed I am talking about, right? So if the data retrieval is as fast as you can, then obviously the processing will be improved. The operating system activities in connection with the disk management or the mass storage management is free space management, right? So how efficiently the free spaces are managed. We will be talking about the disk management in detail, because we have lots of scheduling algorithms. So here we talked about some algorithms, right? So these are some kind of disk scheduling algorithms. So how fast you can access a particular data, how fast the hard disk head, hard disk drive head. You know that there is a read write head available in the hard disk, and it will be moved to and fro, and the hard disk will be rotating so that the data can be accessed. So how exactly the read write head has to be moved, and that is what you call as disk scheduling, right? Then free space management is nothing but how efficiently you can pack all the assigned data, and so that you will have enough free space in the secondary storage device. So how it is to be done. Then the storage allocation, right? So how the directory structure and the directory names, all those things. And the disk scheduling, as I said, the access speed, how you can improve the access speed of the secondary storage devices. So these are some of the activities in connection with the disk management. And not only that, some storage need not be fast, such as backup media, right? So we were talking about the hard disk drive here, right? So when I say mass storage management, it is not only the hard disk, it is also concerned with the tertiary storage in storage devices. So your primary storage is nothing but the main memory. Secondary storage is nothing but generally it will be the hard disk drive. Then you have the third level of storage, which you call as tertiary. In the third level, we will have the backup media, like whatever you have in your hard disk at some point of time. So every 6 months or every 1 year, you will copy the content of the hard disk to a mass storage media, which is nothing but a magnetic tape or some kind of optical storage devices, right? So since the hard disk will be copied to a backup media, which you call as the third level of storage, then this must also be managed in the mass storage management. So it is not just the hard disk management, it is also concerned with the third level of storage media, which you call as optical storage media or magnetic tape. Okay, so the point to be noted is primary memory management is done by the main memory management module. Then the secondary storage management will be done by the file system management, and the third level, which you call as tertiary management, will be done by the mass storage management. So sometimes this mass storage management is also dealing with the hard disk, because you can use the hard disk also as a backup media. Okay, so you can say that the file system management is managing the secondary storage device, and the mass storage management is managing the tertiary storage device, which is the third level of storage device. And not only that, the storage media also varies, whether it is write once, read many times like your CD, or whether it is a read write one. Read write one is nothing but your hard disk drive, right? So magnetic tape is you write once and read many times, whereas if you take the hard disk, it is going to be read write storage. So based on that, some activities or the management is to be done to manage the mass storage devices. So in connection with the mass storage devices, these are some of the functions that must be provided by the operating system. So the operating system should provide some mechanism to mount and unmount the media in devices. Then allocating and freeing the devices for exclusive use by processors, and migrating the data from secondary storage device to tertiary storage. So these are some of the functions to be provided by the operating system. So you need to mount the magnetic tape, right? How to mount it and how to unmount it, right? What the functions provided by the operating system to mount the magnetic tape and unmount the magnetic tape. And not only that, magnetic tape is always a sequential device, right? So how to allocate the sequential device for a particular process, and how to free that particular device from a process. So that is also because if it is sequential device, only one process can be used. Only one process can use the magnetic tape at a time, since it is a sequential device. So if it is going to be reading, then many processes can read the sequential device at the same time. So if so, how efficiently you are going to move the tape to and fro to retrieve the data. So that is all included in the functions of the operating system. And copying the data from the secondary storage device to the tertiary storage device, how it is to be done efficiently. So all these things will be taken care by the operating system. Now the third important concept of the storage management is nothing but caching. All of you have studied what is a cache memory in your computer organization and how it is organized. How the cache memory is organized is also dealt here. So caching becomes one of the very important principles of the computer system. And let us see how it works. We know that information is generally stored in the main memory, right? So all the data which is to be manipulated or all the programs which are to be executed are stored in the primary memory. Only then you can execute it. Now when this main memory data is being used, it will be copied to the faster storage system, to the cache memory, right, on a temporary basis. You know that from the secondary storage device, the data will be moved to the primary memory, and from the primary memory, data will be copied to the cache memory for faster access. So all these points you have already studied in your informatics as well as in your computer organization paper. Now what happens is, whenever the information is required, the computer will check whether it is available in the cache memory. If it is available in the cache memory, it will be used. If it is not available, the information will be copied from the main memory to the cache memory and it will be used, right? So the information from the main memory will be used, but at the same time what it will do, it will make a copy of that information into the cache memory, assuming that this information will be required soon, right? So whenever a data is required by the processor will check whether the data is available in the cache memory. If it is available, it will be used. Otherwise, it will check the main memory and use the data. At the same time, when it is using the data from the main memory, it will make a copy of the data into the cache memory also. So this is how it works. So most of the systems have instruction cache also, right? So that the instruction cache will hold the instructions expected to be executed next. So program counter is a register which holds the address of the next instruction to be executed. Apart from that, a portion of the program, right? Suppose if you are currently executing a quadratic equation program, then the portion of the program will also be copied to the cache memory, which you call as the instruction cache. So this instruction cache will be holding the instructions which are to be executed in the upcoming cycles. Now if you take the various storage devices, right from the registers to the magnetic tape or a mass storage media, you know that there are different levels: registers, cache, main memory, then you have SSD, then magnetic disk, right? So these are the different levels of storage available in the memory hierarchy, right? In the memory hierarchy, we have already discussed the offline storage devices or the removable storage devices are at the bottom, whereas the registers are at the top of the pyramid, right? So if this is the case, obviously the first level of the data will be always stored in registers, and the second level will be for the cache, and the third level it goes to the main memory, and from the main memory we have the solid state disk is also available, which is faster comparing to your hard disk, normal hard disk. The SSD is very fast. Then finally we have the magnetic disk. Then from the magnetic disk we copy the data to the offline storage media for the backup. So we generally use this offline storage only for the backup. Now if you see the performance of various levels of these storage devices, the registers are very lesser in size, whereas magnetic disks are higher in capacity. Then implementation technology also, these are all using CMOS, right? All these three are using CMOS, whereas the solid state disk is the fastest comparing to your magnetic disk, right? So comparing to the primary secondary storage device, you are comparing to the secondary storage devices, the fastest is the solid state disk, which is actually implemented using the flash memory technology. Then magnetic disk is the one which we have in our hard disk or in our desktop. So nowadays the hard disk or not hard disk, nowadays your desktop machines or the laptop, they are all coming with SSD also, so that the operating system will be stored in the SSD, so that when you switch on your machine boots within seconds, right? So within 30 seconds your machine will be booted if the operating system is stored in solid state disk. So nowadays in all the computer systems, SSD is used for storing the operating system, and the magnetic disks are used as the backup storage media. And the access time, obviously this is having a very lesser access time comparing to the magnetic disk. And the bandwidth, data transfer, right? So 20,000 bytes can be transferred per second, whereas here only 20 MB per second will be transferred. So here it is 20,000 MB, whereas here it is only 20. And the registers will be generally managed by the compiler or the processor, and the here cache will be managed by some kind of hardware mechanisms. The main memory, obviously the memory management module will be managing the main memory. Then the SSD and magnetic disk will be managed by the file system manager. Then the registers data will be backed up in cache memory. Cache memory content will be backed up in main memory. Then main memory will be stored in the disk. Solid state will be stored in magnetic disk, and the magnetic disk data will be stored as a backup in a tape or any other disk storage devices. So this chart shows the performance of various levels of storage. And we had already discussed the memory hierarchy, where the speed of the memory or the storage devices will be higher in the case of registers and lower in the case of storage devices. Then the cost, comparing to the cost, the CPU registers are very expensive, whereas the offline storage medias are less expensive. Then the capacity also, the CPU registers are very small in their capacity or in size, whereas offline storage medias like tapes and disks are very huge. You can store a large amount of or a huge amount of data in the offline storage. But if you take this hierarchy, now the question is how this hierarchical data will be transferred. How the hierarchical data will be operated. So in the hierarchical storage structure, the problem is same data may appear in different levels of the storage system, right? So why? Because suppose, say for example, an integer a that is to be incremented by 1 is located in file B, and the file B resides on the magnetic disk. This is a situation we assume. An integer a is to be incremented by 1 and it is located in file B, and file B resides on magnetic disk. So the increment operation proceeds by first issuing an input-output operation to copy the disk block on which A resides to main memory, and this operation is followed by copying A into the cache and to an internal register. Thus, Copy of A appears in several places, in the magnetic disk, in main memory, in cache and in internal register. If you want, let me arrange the data in a better way, the slide. Let me arrange it properly so that it will be easy for you to follow the content. You want to let me arrange the content. The scenario here is you want to copy an integer, an integer which is to be incremented by 1 is located in file B, and this file B is residing on the magnetic disk. This is the assumption, right? Now if you want to increment, what it will do, the increment operation proceeds by first issuing the input output operation command, right? So what the input output operation command will do, it will copy the disk block on which A resides to the main memory, right? So that disk block in which the A data is available, it will be copied to the main memory. Now after this, the operation is followed by copying A to the cache, and then it will go to the internal register. Therefore, now copy of A is available in several places, right? What are the different places it is available? It is available on the magnetic disk, it is available in the main memory, and it is also available in the cache, and it is also available in the internal register, right? So this is the scenario that you have to understand. I hope you could follow the scenario now. We are talking about the hierarchical storage structure. So when you have this kind of hierarchical storage structure, you will be storing a data somewhere here, right? So always your permanent data is available in the hard disk. So when you want to manipulate the data which is available in the hard disk, it need to be copied to the random access memory. And since the processor wants to access the main memory data, what it will do? It will copy the data to the cache memory, and from the cache memory it will be copied to the registers for processing. Yes or no, right? So that is what the scenario says. You want to increment the data A, but the data is available in file B, and this file is available in the magnetic disk. So your file is currently available in the magnetic disk. File B is available in hard disk, and in file B you have a data called A, and this data A is to be incremented. So what it will do? It for increment operation, obviously this data has to be copied first, and it is to be copied to the main memory. So from the secondary storage device it is copied to the main memory, and the processor will copy it to the cache. Then from the cache it will be copied to the register. So now the copy of A is available in 4 different places. So the operating system should make sure that when it is updating the data in the magnetic disk, it is updating the data in the internal register, it must be updated in all these places. So this is very, very important in the hierarchical storage structure. So from the magnetic disk, the data A will be copied to the main memory, and from main memory it will go to cache, and from cache it goes to the hardware register. So in 4 different places the value of A is available. So when the value of A is updated here in the register, it must be updated in all these 4 places also. So that has to be taken care by the operating system when it is using this hierarchical storage structure. So in the computing environment, if there is going to be only one process being executed at a time, then there is no difficulty, because whatever data is stored in the cache memory will be used by that particular process. But remember, if I am having multiple processor environment, then in addition to maintaining all the internal registers of the CPU, each CPU will have a local cache also. This is very important. Each CPU will have a local cache. So in that case, a copy of A, the value which we had taken this example, right? So this copy of A may exist simultaneously in several caches, right? So you may be having more than one processor. Each processor will be having a local cache, and each, let us assume two processor X and processor Y. Both the processor are trying to access the data A. That means what? Both the processor X and Y will have their own cache. So copy of A will be now available in X cache as well as in Y cache. Okay. So since the various CPUs can execute in parallel, it must be made sure that an update to the value of A in one cache is immediately reflected in all other caches where A resides. So this situation is called cache coherency, and it is usually a hardware issue. Whereas in the distributed environment, the situation is even more complex when one particular data is being manipulated. So the cache coherency is one of the problems we will be facing when we have the more processor, right? More cache available, different cache available for each processor. In that case, the problem is what you call as cache coherency. It has to be managed in the hardware level itself. And another environment, we were talking about the single processor environment. This is a single processor environment. So in single processor environment, it is not at all a difficult situation. Whereas in multi-processor environment, it is a little complicated because cache coherency problem may arise. Whereas in the distributed environment, the situation becomes more complex. So the last concept of the storage management is the input-output systems. One purpose of operating system is to hide the peculiarities, right, the difficulties or the hardware concepts from the user, right? So the user need not worry about how the read-write head of the hard disk is moving, how it is locating the data, how it is retrieving the data. So the internal architecture of the hardware devices is not known to the user. It is all hidden by the operating systems, right? You just feel like when you double click the icon, the data is completely transferred from the hard disk to the main memory. Even you don't know like the data is being copied from the hard disk to the main memory, right? So only the technical people knows like this is how it works, whereas a normal person who use the computer need not worry about how it is being copied, how it is being accessed, etc. So therefore, the input-output subsystem is responsible for memory management of all the input-output devices like buffering the data, then caching, then spooling. So buffering is nothing but storing the data temporarily while it is being transferred. So when it is being transferred from the secondary storage device to the main memory, it needs to be buffered. Or from the main memory to the cache memory, when it is copying, it needs to be buffered. So the memory management of input output, or in the same way when you type something in the keyboard, the data need to be buffered before it is transferred to the main memory. So how the buffering is to be managed. Then caching is nothing but storing parts of data in faster storage for performance. Say for example, when we have the caching technique, what we do, from the main memory, a part of the program is being copied to the cache memory. So when you are copying only a part of a data, how it is to be managed for better performance. ബിക്കോസ് ഒരു പ്രോഗ്രാമിൻ്റെ ഒരു പാർട്ട് മാത്രം, ഒരു ഫംഗ്ഷൻ മാത്രമേ നിങ്ങളെ ക്യാഷ് മെമ്മറിയിൽ ഉണ്ടാവുള്ളൂ. ദ റെസ്റ്റ് ഓഫ് ദ പ്രോഗ്രാം വിൽ ബി അവൈലബിൾ ഇൻ ദ മെയിൻ മെമ്മറി. സോ വെൻ this function is referring another function, when the function is calling another function, obviously that has to be copied from the main memory to the cache memory. So this has to be managed. Then spooling, overlapping of output of one job with input of other job. This is another very important concept that comes under input output subsystem. So if output of one job is given as the input to another job, how this overlapping is to be managed, right? So these are some of the responsibility to be taken care by the input output subsystem. And not only that, all the input output devices will have their own device driver. We had already discussed in our introduction, like each input output device will have its own device driver, because the device is completely a different one from the processor. So if that is the case, you need to keep an interface, right? So each device, keyboard is a different one, mouse is a different one, then monitor is a different device. So all these devices will be having their own interfaces also to communicate with the operating system. Then the drivers will be specific for hardware devices. Each and every hardware device will have their own device driver. Then you will have a general device driver also. So only the device driver knows the peculiarities of the specific device to which it is assigned. So if you have a printer, right, so the printer will be having a device driver of its own. Only the device driver of the printer knows how to move the paper, how to print on the paper, then how the the paper form feed, line feed, all this to be given. It is all managed by the device driver interfaces. Operating system need not directly manipulate or operate the printer. So operating system just give the instructions to the device driver, and the device driver will be operating the hardware. So that is how it works, right? So if you have a plotter, if you have a monitor will have its own device driver. If you have a plotter will have its own device driver. So what it will do, the operating system just gives instructions to the device driver, and the device driver will be operating the plotter. So this is how the input output subsystems will work, where the device driver and the buffering, caching and spooling are the responsibilities to be taken care by the operating system. Okay, so these are the 4 important concepts of the storage management, which is completely dealing with the file systems, mass storage devices, caching, which is one of the very, very important concept for the efficient usage of the computer system, then the input output subsystems. So we'll be discussing about the protection and security. Protection and security will be discussed in the next session. Thank you.